Why are your watercolors a complete mess? Liron here. Thank you for joining me. I want to share with you one solution that will instantly solve your messy watercolors. This is something all beginners deal with. Your paintings, something separates those of professionals and yours, and you're uncertain of what it is. So let me solve that mystery for you because this is huge. So, most people, when they look at a scene like this, right, they start to wonder, how am I gonna tackle it, right? And what you end up doing so often is making a super detailed sketch. And I get you, you wanna include all the details you're seeing. But what most beginners fail to realize is the most important thing that take precedence over the details, over everything, is the big idea of the painting. And what is the big idea here? It's a night scene, and this area right here is the most well lit. So I'm gonna keep it paper white as best as I can. And as we move out of that area, that's when I'm gonna start introducing some colors, okay? Around this area that is the most well lit. And check it out. I am not even trying to get any of the details down. I'm not even trying. And that's where everyone gets confused. It's like, but wait, but you're painting over everything, and like, what if this wash isn't perfect? What if this isn't what it's supposed to look like, right? And the end result. That's the thing. What matters is the big idea, the overall theme, the large shapes. These are all things that take huge precedence over the details. So let me show you. I'm gonna push this to be dark. The sky is dark. We even have a nice rich blue here, okay? So this is dark. We have some trees, right? In this area. So you know what? You just inject a bit of whatever yellow you have, and you start pushing your black to be just a touch green. Or you can use a pre-mixed green. Doesn't even matter, actually. Let's use whatever green I have here. Check it out. And dark. Dark is really important here because the motif here, it's a night scene, right? Now, if it starts to dry, go ahead, spray. That's fine. But the most important thing is you respect, there is a hierarchy of shapes, almost. And the hierarchy is this overall structure. It means much more than everything else. Now, here's where a lot of people get it wrong, right? You're scared to push your paintings to be as dark as they need to be to make an actual impression. So let's get a bit of darkness here, a bit of the brown to the ground here, see? Because this area is darker, that area is darker. Now notice something fascinating. I don't have any details right now. In fact, I don't care where that railing goes. I don't care where exactly the car is. I don't know if the shapes here that I put somewhat abstract, honestly, for the trees, if they're accurate. How can I get away with placing so much random, seemingly random details and shapes, right? And still probably be able to pull this together at the end? The answer is very, very, very simple. It's because these things are way more important than the exact placement of stuff. They're way more important, and let's bring it one layer above. They're way more important. The flow is way more important than these details. So right now, we have the infrastructure necessary to make this into a beautiful painting. We don't need much more than that, funny enough. This is completely counterintuitive. This is not what people think, but if you can just place that, let it sit. I'm gonna show you as soon as it dries how we pull this together with just a couple of details. And by the way, while this is drying, I think it'll be useful to reiterate the big idea, okay? This structure of values is what makes the painting work. When you look at it from afar, it needs to work from afar too. There needs to be some kind of organization and hierarchy. Now, when you get more experienced and when you get more nuanced with your watercolors, you will be able to achieve that hierarchy, to achieve that organization in any way you want. You can paint starting from this section, from this section, from this detail, from the car. You can do whatever you want with a bit more experience. What I'm giving you is a blueprint of, forget about everything you're seeing here. Let's look at the big idea. Now, this is different from the first wash. The first wash is a technique. And I'm kind of sick of people confusing techniques and actually like ideas, okay? A technique is a means to an end. Now I get all passionate about it. The technique is a means to an end. The technique of a first wash is what we did here. We covered the paper with the first wash. However, the way this first wash is painted is what matters, because a lot of people paint the first wash just to get rid of the paper white, okay? No, there is a method to the first wash, and it depends on who you are and how you like painting. If you look at someone here on YouTube, by the way, Tim Wilmot, amazing painter, he paints his first washes completely differently than mine, because it's a matter of personal choice. What I'm talking about here is not a first wash, but it's an idea. What represents the entirety of the scene if I had to just do it in one go? The entirety of it. Forget about alla prima, forget about all of that. Like, what's, if I just kind of squint my eyes and what do I see here? I see a focal point that is lighter than its environment. I see a bit of warmth here on the ground. I see a bit of coolness and darkness up top. And that's the big idea. And that's it, right? So we can represent it using the first wash. That's the technique we use. Techniques, to me, I'm totally agnostic about. I don't care exactly what technique I use. I just care, it's a byproduct of what I need to do, okay? This is a wonderful opportunity to invite you to check out the Watercolor Breakthrough Club. I'm gonna put a link below. There's gonna be a special offer, but it's gonna be just for one day from this point the video comes out. One day, I'm gonna give you 50% off membership, okay? So check it out. If you want to learn more closely from me, if you want to see these kinds of more nuanced demos on a weekly basis, if you want to be a part of a community of wonderful people who are ambitious and encourage each other, and if you want to get my feedback on your paintings, you send me a painting every month, check out the Watercolor Breakthrough Club. It's close to the end of the year. I want you to be ready to for 2026. Make it the best year you have with your art. I'm going to put, again, it's going to be a discount. It's going to be for about 24 hours from the point this video comes out, okay? So make sure you check it out, 50% off. It amounts to about $97 a month, $970 yearly. You sell one painting, you sell maybe two paintings, you recoup the costs, okay? Invest in yourself. That's the thing. As soon as you invest in yourself, you'll feel the difference and you'll know immediately, you know what? In 6 months, I can sell a watercolor, right? It doesn't even matter if you want to make it into a career or you just want to know. I think most people just want to know and not BS themselves. Know that what they paint is good. That's pretty much it, okay? Now let's give it a couple more minutes to dry and we'll continue. Okay, so now that the drying time is over and my rant time is over, let's take this to its final conclusion. Very simple. Again, you want to keep these things simple for the viewer. Simpler paintings tend to do better, especially at first. You know, you can later on introduce complexities, but if you can just get a couple of ideas right. So I'm gonna mix a cool kind of blue, and we're still gonna keep this, again, we're gonna keep this simple. In fact, let's, do I want to actually draw the car? Nah, let's do it this way. Okay, so top of the car is going to be somewhere around here. So the window is going to be somewhere around here. Now, check it out. I can use the exact same concept I used so far. And I don't expect you to be able to paint like this directly with no pencil line. But what I am saying is I'm using the exact same concept I've shown you so far. And that is precedence over the big picture. Okay? So more importantly than exactly the details in the window and all of that is the main shape of the window, okay? And notice how with just a few simple main shapes, I can breathe life into this car that didn't exist a second ago. Now look at what I'm doing. I'm gonna use a bit of just wet water because I want a smooth transition on my way to the bottom of the car. So check it out. Smooth transition. This is the front. The car goes a little beyond the front, goes all the way to here. And this dark shape takes precedence over all the details within it. So all I really need to do is pull it down to the bottom, all the way to here. And you know what? If I feel like a hero that day, I can just start painting the tires and the details, right? Now, one important thing to have in mind is I'm giving you this demo, I'm talking as I'm painting. I find that over the years, talking has started influencing the quality of my paintings. I don't know why it wasn't like that in the past. It could be my mental faculties going down the drain, but I actually think it's because I'm starting to paint things in a more nuanced and complex way. So I now understand Joseph Zbukvich when he gives a demo and he goes, "Shh, I need quiet." I saw a video of his doing that and I was a little shocked, but I get it. I get it. So, again, kind of backlight, red, nice colors. And check it out. This painting is a high key version of the original, right? It's a little lighter, which I love because it enables us to have good flow, okay? You don't have to go as dark as what you see. You can keep things fairly simple if you want, right? This is enough as a visual idea. That's all we need. Can you paint this group of shapes that I just painted? Can you do that? You probably can. Is it super difficult? No, it isn't. It really isn't. It's very simple. Here's the mirror. Let's put in the shadow for the mirror. It starts dark and then it goes kind of light. Can you do this? Can you paint these simple types of shapes? Yes, you can. In fact, let me make this a little more. See, there's this beautiful, almost diagonal shadow. See? I'm not even trying to make it perfect or anything like that. I'm just placing in kind of the big ideas I'm seeing. Now, you know, there are a lot of cauliflowers in my painting. There are a lot of inaccuracies and timings that weren't perfect, but it will still look good because the overall idea is there, right? So let's get the second car. How easy is the second car going to be? Let me show you. A window. Something like this, pretty light actually. And this window will allow us to showcase the shape of the back of this car. Check it out. There's this part that pops out. And we can showcase it with the car at the back. You see this part that pops up? In fact, let me zoom in a bit. It's detail time anyway. Sorry, my voice is a little messed up. So we have this, we have the windshield or whatever. We have a tire. We have the shadow under the car, right? And check it out. That's all it takes. Can you tell how my cars are a little transparent? The background is showing through them. How can I get the cars to look good even though I did not paint the individual shapes of the body of the car, making it perfectly three-dimensional and accurate? Because of the point of this video. The big shapes take precedence over the small shapes. That's all that matters. Okay? Now let me show you something neat. We're going to add that fence in the background, and it's going to help us trap more of the light. Okay, that's one thing. And the second thing is it will create a contrast with the top of this main car. Okay, and can you tell how this painting isn't really about cars? Can you tell what this painting is actually about? Let me know in a comment below. I'm not going to tell you the answer. Let me know in a comment below. What is this painting actually about? Okay, I want to hear it in the comments. And remember one thing, when I ask you to leave a comment, if you actually leave a comment, you will learn more. That's how the mind works. If you engage more, you will learn more. That's why things like the Watercolor Breakthrough Club are huge for growth, because anything that gets you to engage more with what you're doing, whether it's a hobby or a profession, will lead to better results. Because you almost tell your mind, you know, this is something that's important to me. This is something I wanna devote time and attention to. So can you please release more resources for me to use to make it, to get a better result, to make it farther, right, than other people who aren't, you know, because not all people are. Now, visual ideas. There's a bit of a darker area for the parking lot. We can decide to bring it out. We can decide to ignore it. I can kind of do it. So let's just, it's simple dark color. So we have a couple of the trees here. And notice how I'm prioritizing the big idea. So I don't care about the small stuff. And I'm prioritizing visual language, okay? These are all shapes to me. It's a horizontal and a bunch of vertical shapes. And that's pretty much it. And this darkness is going to give a bit more depth to the scene, but just a bit. I don't need too much. And it's going to dry lighter, which is good. That's what I'm aiming for here, okay? We have this kind of a visual idea. We actually have a car here. A bunch of cars. But it doesn't even matter, right? This is the main idea. Now, if you want, you can start painting additional details. Let me show you something fun. Let's create the markings of the parking lot, okay, by painting around them. Let me show you. This is fun. Wasn't even planning on doing this or going darker, but I'm having fun with this demo, so why not? So check it out. I'm going to add these markings very simply by painting around them, like this, like that, like this, like that. And then we're going to use some flow and gravity to actually fill in these areas down here. And again, whenever you do this kind of a thing, just know you're running a risk of reducing the efficacy, if that's the right word in this case, for the overall shapes, right? So you don't have to, but I'm doing a demo. I want to show you everything. So there we go. That's one. And then we have this other side, like so, that has the markings on the ground. And as you fill those in, right? Let's do this. Let's meet on the other side, so to speak. Okay, so we start here with a bit of a stronger kind of brown, just because I like the way it looks, and gradually kind of lighten it all the way till we meet the other side. And you see how we created some marks? You could just take out opaque paint and start painting these marks too, right? Now there are some other details. Let me paint those down real simple. Okay, real simple. And light too. So we have this. I like that this is still wet. I'll probably use it just to get a bit of a looser look here. So this railing, one go, don't need to overwork it. One go, one go, one go, one go, one go. All the way to the back here, create a bit of depth, right? And then we have this power line or street lamp. We'll get it in one go. Check it out, one go. It's a bit diagonal because of perspective. One go, all the way to the top. Casts a shadow, all the way here. You need to strengthen it a bit, go ahead. Strengthen it on the shadow side, right? The light side is on the right. Go ahead on the shadow side. And look at this. We've got a beautiful, slightly dark, kind of gloomy scene in a good way, in the best way possible, right? If you want to introduce the idea of stronger light in the background, very simple. You can darken around the lights, or you can do what I'm going to do now, which is, for some select spots, especially contrasting the darks, place down some lights. Just visual ideas. Doesn't matter where you place them. What matters is they're there, right? And again, you can interpret this a different way. You can decide to interpret this entire scene in a stronger, darker way. You don't have to, but you can, right? And if you see a bunch of interesting highlights on the cars, you can go ahead and add those, right? For the door handles or for the mirror, just to bring out some of it. Or you could decide, I do want to show the top of the car using a highlight. Like this, right? You can decide to do that. There are a couple of highlights at the back. Maybe, we can hint at stuff here. There are a couple of highlights here on the cars, right? Somewhere around there in the background. You could decide to bring more color into the picture. You could do whatever you want, right? But the idea is, this watercolor, if you ask for my personal opinion, has a professional feel to it. Is it the most detailed? No. Is it the most, polished? No, not necessarily, but it does look professional. The reason is what's in my brain, not my technique, not my control of watercolor necessarily, not how I do things, but what I know. And one thing I know is that what's far more important than the small details is the big idea that ties it all together. And because we're painting, the big idea is a visual idea, right? It's not a story. We're painting here. So the big idea is a visual idea. And that visual idea, let me sign this real quick. And that visual idea is the very subject of this painting. I asked you earlier, what is this painting about? Right? So I'm still waiting for your, I'm here waiting for your comments on what this painting actually is about. This is the big idea, right? And you can, by the way, grab a bit of water just on your finger. If you want to kind of loosen up some stuff, you know, you see, you have freedom, right? You can go ahead and loosen up some of the lights. You can do whatever you want. You can, by the way, which is huge too, you can tie some of these lights to a thing, right? So we have all of these street lights. You can tie them to an actual lamp if you want to maybe better tell the story of what they are, right? You can do so much with it, but the blueprint, the overall idea is this. This is the overall idea, and this is what the painting is all about. And you let me know in the comment what it's all about. By the way, you want to make this focal point of light a little stronger? You can go ahead, because I see a bit of nice kind of neutral, almost cool color here. You can go ahead and add this shadow in more fully, and by doing so, you strengthen the importance of light, right? There's a ton of things you can do to close off some shadows to make the light mean more. There's a lot you can do here, but this is the big idea. I hope it makes sense. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to everyone who supports me over on Patreon. And if you're serious about your watercolors, if you have a dream, right? If you have a dream of them just being able to paint what you see as you visualize it in your mind, right? To feel like your paintings are your own, that's a huge one, right? You finally get to feel like whatever it is you're painting is actually yours. You're no longer a copy of someone else's painting, right? I would highly suggest you join the Watercolor Breakthrough Club. I'm gonna put the link below. It's gonna be 50% off. So you really wanna join now, is a good time. Because the more you invest in your art, the more dividends it'll pay. The best investment you can make. And by the way, I know a lot of my audience is a bit on the older side because watercolor, I don't know, I think a lot of people who paint with watercolors are a little on the older side. You have a lot of life experience, more than me. So you probably know from your own experience, you don't need me to tell you, that whenever you do invest truly in yourself, right, in your knowledge and your skills, whatever it is, right, you get another degree, or you do some kind of a learning thing where, you know, it increases your salary, whatever it is, right? You know it from life experience. You don't need me to tell you. Whenever you do that, it works. And the same goes for watercolor painting, right? So you can make that investment now, be extremely happy about it really soon, okay? So I would appreciate if you check that out. Thank you so much. You know, if you ever received value from what I do, this I think is the thing that will give you the most value. So if you like these videos, if you want to dive a little deeper, trust me, you're not going to regret it. I haven't even put a shadow for the railing and it looks really darn good, you know? This is so fun that I keep finding little things that I could add and do. But in any case, did I thank everyone who supports me over on Patreon? If I haven't, here we go. Thank you so much for supporting me. These are people, you know, you just support me because you want to. There aren't necessarily that many perks there. It's really just because people wanted a way to support, and that's super duper kind of you. Thank you so much. I will see you in the next vid. Take care.